What you'll notice on Canvas this week is first getting started. So info of the week, that's where you'll find this video. Then you're going to get your notebook all set up, and it's really important that your notebook is set up for this week because not only is it going to make it easier for you to do the work to prepare, but also you'll have easy access to it while you're taking the test. Then you're going to start your preparation for the test with this cheat sheet, which is just going to help you kind of review and gather all the information all on one page. Now, the practice test, number 1, okay, it's right here. It's in Edulastic. If you click here on this resource page, you'll find 2 things. First, you'll find videos of me doing the entire practice test. So if you're struggling, let's say on question 5 in the practice test, you can just click on this video for questions 4 through 6. You can even fast forward, move it around, do what you got to do. The other thing you'll find is some resources to help you get your notebook set up and ready for the test. So here's a table of contents for Unit 2. This is all of Unit 2, all of the notes we've taken so far. And then this is just the page set up for these last few pages of the unit where we're working on this week. Okay. Next thing you can take advantage of is these extra credit mini lessons. There's one just comparing slope intercept and standard form. Those are sort of the 2 forms we learned, and just a chance to compare and contrast them and just remind you what the differences are between them. And then here, this is graphs and equations. This is looking at an equation and graphing it, and looking at a graph and writing the equation. Okay, go both directions, both with y equals mx plus b here. Okay, each of those extra credit mini lessons is 3 points. And then finally, practice test number 2. That is, again, in Edulastic. You are going to submit work for that just like you would submit it on the test, so we can get a chance to just see where you're struggling, see what we need to review. But that is the full plan for the week. That is everything you need to get done this week. Okay, now if you're in first or third period, this is what your weekly schedule will look like. Today, you're going to set up your notebook. Today in class, you're going to set up your notebook and do the cheat sheet. Now, your homework, I would recommend that you do the graphing and equations mini lesson, and I would recommend that you get up to practice test, up to question 14 on practice test number 1. Now, the reason I recommend that is when you come into class, we're going to do a quick Desmos activity, but then you'll have time to work on practice test number 2. And you'll be prepared, if you do this homework, you'll be prepared to get up to question 14 on practice test 2. Then, in between our 2 longer classes for the week, if you do the slope-intercept versus standard form mini lesson and go ahead and finish the first practice test, and when I say work on the practice test, you might know some of the questions, you might have to go to the videos for some of the questions, but you should just use whatever resources you need to do it and get it 100%. Okay, then when you come into class, you'll be ready to go ahead and finish practice test number 2. So then on Friday, you'll have no homework, you'll be all set, you'll be ready for the test next week. Unless that is you have any makeup work from previous weeks, then you should definitely take care of that this weekend because the final deadline is next Monday. And not only that, any of that makeup work is also going to help you prepare for the test because it's all stuff that's on the test. Okay, then Monday, we'll just make sure you're super clear on the test direction so that we can spend all period on Tuesday on the unit test. Okay, and then finally Thursday, that's the last day before winter break. We'll just kind of set you up for the rest of the semester. It's only 3 more weeks in the semester, so we'll just share what that's going to look like. Okay, now if you're in 2nd and 4th, your schedule just looks a tiny bit different. Today, we're still setting up your notebook and doing your cheat sheet. Tomorrow, I'd recommend you do the graphing and equations mini lesson. Okay, get up to practice test, up to question 14 on practice test number 1. Then you'll be ready to do practice test number 2 up to 14 in class on Wednesday. And then the slope-intercept for standard form mini lesson and finish the practice test on Thursday so that when you come to class on Friday, you are ready to go ahead and finish practice test number 2, which leaves you with no homework unless, of course, that you have makeup work. Okay, and then same as the other periods, on Monday, you'll get just the final test directions. We'll make sure that you're all prepared to come in on Wednesday and spend the whole period on that test. And Friday, we'll introduce you to what will be the rest of the semester. Okay, now, just a couple little facts you need to know. The practice tests are exactly like the test. So as you're working through the practice test, please make sure not only are you asking questions, but you're showing your work neatly in your notebook so you can go back and reference it to cheat on the tests. Okay, now, we're not going to help you on practice test number 1 unless you have a specific clarifying question like, why did you do this instead of that, right? We want you to use the videos for help there. Those videos are there to help support you on practice test 1, and we are supporting you on practice test 2 during class time. So during class time, we're really going to be focusing on practice test 2. We'll be displaying progress, we'll be offering help, okay? But for practice test 1, we want you to use the resources that are available. You're also going to submit work for practice test 2. So while we would recommend that you show work for both practice tests, you're going to be submitting it for practice test 2. Okay, and then just one more reminder, this is the hard deadline for any assignment from the week before Thanksgiving until now. That hard deadline is next Monday night. So everything has to be done before you come in to take that test. Okay, so what we're doing in class today is just getting that notebook set up and getting the cheat sheet started so that we're ready to follow this calendar, whichever period you're in, for the rest of this next week and a half.